Proverbs chapter 5, Wisdom of faithfulness is the path of life. Proverbs chapter 5 presents a compelling and sobering message about the dangers of adultery and the importance of remaining faithful, particularly within the context of marriage. Framed as a father's heartfelt advice to his son, this passage serves as both a moral instruction and a spiritual warning, emphasizing the far-reaching consequences of sexual immorality. With poetic language and vivid imagery, the text urges the reader to embrace wisdom, avoid temptation, and find joy and satisfaction in a faithful marital relationship. The chapter begins with a call to listen attentively to wisdom and understanding. This introduction sets the tone for what follows, highlighting the significance of moral discernment and spiritual insight. The father's instruction is not casual advice, it is a passionate appeal to preserve discretion and to keep knowledge close. These qualities serve as protection against the subtle and seductive lure of immoral behavior. Central to the passage is the description of the immoral woman, whose lips drip honey and whose speech is smoother than oil. At first glance, she appears enticing and pleasing, but the text quickly reveals the deception behind her charm. Her end is bitter, described as wormwood, an herb known for its intense bitterness, and she is likened to a double-edged sword, symbolizing the pain and danger that accompany her path. The consequences of involvement with her are severe: death, destruction, and a descent into hell. Her life is marked by instability and confusion, and those who follow her do not realize the peril they are in until it is too late. The father's warning becomes even more urgent as he exhorts his children to stay far from such temptation. He warns that the price of such sin is the loss of honor, the surrender of one's best years to others, and the squandering of wealth and labor to strangers. Ultimately, those who fall into this trap are left with deep regret, lamenting their rejection of instruction and correction. The emotional and physical toll of their choices becomes evident, and they find themselves on the brink of ruin, disgraced before their community. This part of the passage serves as a powerful reminder of how sin not only affects personal life but also public reputation and legacy. In contrast to the destructive nature of adultery, the text turns to a celebration of marital faithfulness. Using the metaphor of drinking water from one's own cistern, the father encourages his son to find fulfillment in his own wife. This imagery suggests exclusivity, purity, and the refreshing, life-giving nature of a devoted marital relationship. The language becomes intimate and joyful as the writer urges the son to rejoice with the wife of his youth and to be continually enraptured by her love. The relationship is described in tender and affectionate terms, portraying a faithful marriage not as a duty, but as a source of lasting delight and satisfaction. The chapter concludes with a solemn reflection on accountability and the consequences of sinful choices. It reminds the reader that every path is seen by the Lord and that no action is hidden from His view. This awareness of divine oversight adds weight to the earlier warnings, underscoring the spiritual dimensions of one's moral decisions. The sinner becomes ensnared by his own iniquities, trapped in the very cords of sin he has chosen. Without instruction and correction, he strays into ruin, led by his own folly. Ultimately, Proverbs chapter 5 is a powerful moral lesson about the perils of adultery and the value of fidelity. It contrasts the destructive lure of illicit relationships with the beauty and sanctity of a faithful marriage. The passage not only addresses external behavior but also speaks to the inner condition of the heart, whether it is guided by wisdom or ruled by impulsive desires. Through vivid warnings and uplifting encouragement, it calls the reader to choose the path of life, wisdom, and lasting joy.
My son, pay attention to my wisdom. Lend your ear to my understanding, that you may preserve discretion, and your lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of an immoral woman drip honey, and her mouth is smoother than oil. But in the end she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death, her steps lay hold of hell. Lest you ponder her path of life, her ways are unstable, you do not know them. Therefore hear me now, my children, and do not depart from the words of my mouth. Remove your way far from her, and do not go near the door of her house, lest you give your honor to others and your years to the cruel one. Lest aliens be filled with your wealth, and your labors go to the house of a foreigner, And you mourn at last, when your flesh and your body are consumed, and say, How I have hated instruction, and my heart despised correction. I have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined my ear to those who instructed me. I was on the verge of total ruin, in the midst of the assembly and congregation. Drink water from your own cistern, and running water from your own well. Should your fountains be dispersed abroad, streams of water in the streets? Let them be only your own, and not for strangers with you. Let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of your youth. As a loving deer and a graceful doe, let her breast satisfy you at all times, and always be enraptured with her love. For why should you, my son, be enraptured by an immoral woman, and be embraced in the arms of a seductress? For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he ponders all his paths. His own iniquities entrap the wicked man, and he is caught in the cords of his sin. He shall die for lack of instruction, and in the greatness of his folly he shall go astray.